Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I'm joined by a special guest. Special guest indeed, Seanie. Yeah, I've been following your work for quite a while, man, and I've just been very impressed with what you're doing. And it's a great movement that you've got going. And for anyone that doesn't know, Seanie, you've been doing yoga over in Portmarnock Beach for 52 consecutive weeks, man. Where did that goal come from, Sean?
I don't know. I'm there. So it started in. It started around July. It was July 2021.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing it now, whenever I'm free. But I was, as I said before, working in the matter private, and I just felt like I needed an escape from the 9 to 5. I never had planned on staying in a 9 to 5 for too long, anyway. So I was doing this yoga course, and I had to put on 10 sessions for. So I could get me cert at the end of the course.
Of course, yeah.
And then, like, as I said before in a few other podcasts, 4 weeks in, it just ended up blowing up to a couple of hundred people being there. And the first goal was just to get to the 10 weeks, because that was all that I had in my mindset. And then people were asking me what I was doing when that was finished. So I just kept rolling with it. And I was like, right, I'll try and get to Christmas. And the lockdown was going on as well. Yeah. So there was all those crazy restrictions that I don't know, I definitely didn't agree with anyway, but so there was a lot of that going on, and new people didn't really have an outlet to...
But this was outdoors, so were you allowed to do it?
No.
Oh, you weren't? Okay.
Yeah,
no one could congregate.
No, we weren't allowed to even go outside and breathe the same air.
So 10 weeks in, it came to a stop, or is this before the 10 weeks?
No, 10 weeks. 10 weeks, we just kept rolling. From the 10 weeks finished, I was just there.
Yeah.
Kept going with the Wednesdays, because I felt it was not right in my heart to... If I didn't agree with something, you know what I mean, I wasn't going to abide by that, you know, and that wasn't to be just a pure outlaw.
Of course,
maybe there was a bit of that kind of in it as well, but I just felt like it was more important to be providing that space down there. So I was just like, right, I'm going to be here for as long as this lockdown is going on. And then the lockdown finished, and I was like 36 weeks in, and I was like, right, well, I've already said I'm going to be here for the whole year, so we'll just keep rolling, you know what I mean.
Fair play to you.
It was tough. I'm not going to even like downplay how hard it was to get through the 52 weeks, especially the last couple of weeks. They were the toughest for me.
And what made them so difficult? What's made towards the end of the journey? Is the consistency of showing up on a continuous basis?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Your whole life kind of gets taken away from it too.
Yeah. Because of the commitment.
Because you're working, and then you're doing your own bits, and then you have friends and your family, and then no matter what's happening in the midweek, you have to be there. I've committed to be there, so I was like, right, I have to be there. Yeah. This is a non-negotiable. So I've missed out on a lot, and I feel like I'm after losing an awful lot of connections with friends and family that I have to kind of rebuild. And
really,
yeah, it's been tough.
Do you feel like the sacrifice, even though you've committed to the 52 weeks, you've done it now? Do you feel a sense of accomplishment for actually just doing anything for 52 weeks is a massive challenge? But you're showing up in front of people, doing yoga classes, being an instructor. You know, you always have to go up with good energy. People don't realize sometimes when you're It's almost like performance in a way, because you're performing in front of people on a continuous basis. That can wear you down, you know what I mean?
Definitely did, but I just even now I'm coming to terms with this whole Instagram social media business and all that crack, and I've realised that I have to take my personal opinion and my emotions away from it. Yeah. And I did do that really well when I was teaching the yoga and going to the sessions, because I had a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. Personally, you know, and it was literally like putting on a face. I remember I'd just get down out of the van, I'd pull up, be getting me stuff ready, and I'd literally just step out of the van. It just felt like something just slid down there. I'd be like, well, what's the crack? How's everybody getting on? You know, and no matter what was happening, if I had to leave the beach and go straight down home because of something was going on or whatever was happening, I feel like I'm after getting into a good space now where I can just put on the brave face.
That happens when you have to put on that front, that it kind of takes you out of the headspace that you're in.
Yeah.
It definitely does, doesn't it?
It's kind of like acting for me at the minute.
It is.
It's like stepping into a character, you know.
But in life, Seanie, we're all actors. There's not one of us that's not an actor in that situation where you're going into. And I've often felt as well, even train the lads on a very small basis compared to what you're doing. Hundreds, if not more, people up in Portmarnock Beach. It's like you do get a lot of energy though from people. There's a great exchange when that happens, even though you've obviously got a lot going on in your own life, like we all do, and we all trying to sort through different problems, whatever else it may be. When you put on that front and you step forward in front of people, you know, they are so grateful for you showing up there on a weekly basis, that you're giving them such value. Like, I think it's absolutely incredible what you've done. I'm just so taken back by the length of time. And is that coming to an end now, or how's it working now at the moment?
The way it works now is I've see, what happened was I was doing the Wednesdays, and then I had done the odd Saturdays for like as part of the run rise. A mate of mine, Craig, was running the run rises, so I done 1 or 2 for them, and then there was another couple of Saturdays I ended up diving in, and I started doing the Sunday then, just for the crack, and the Sundays ended up taking off. So I was doing a Wednesday and Sunday, and it worked out that by the time the year was done, I'd done 52 Wednesdays, 44 Sundays, so it was 96 sessions. Within a year, on top of a few other sessions I was after throwing in and other bits of charity work.
You're doing all this for free. You only ask for donations off people as well.
It was throughout the training for the 10 weeks, it was solely all gone to Suicide or Survive.
Yeah.
And then after I got qualified, I was like, I'm going to keep doing it with Suicide or Survive. And a couple of the ladies, the older ladies from the beach, were like, Sean, you can't keep coming down here. Just put up a tips jar and people control whatever they want. And I said, you know what? I said, that's actually not a bad idea, because there was a lot of work that had went into it. There was, me hoop was busted getting up and down. I had to call in a few favours lots of times when I wasn't able-bodied and everything, you know. So the way I leave it now is the best way to leave it, I think, is it ruined the vibe. I've seen people putting prices on a service that they're providing. Hold on, let me take a sip of this coffee.
You work away.
Putting a price on services that they're providing, and it just ruins the community vibe.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel if I can keep the community going, that's the most important part.
I love your approach, and that's something. Sometimes, especially at the beginning of anything in life, you got to work for free for a while to prove that it is of value. You know what I mean? And I think that's what you've done. And when people can see that you're not solely searching or looking for you're not trying to monetize it straight away. It's like you've given it time. You've given it a whole year.
I'm still, it's over a year and a half, and I'm still leaving it the same, like, you know.
It's so crazy. And then all you're asking is people don't have to pay necessarily donations. And I remember when I did come down and I done a yoga session one Sunday, was down in Portmarnock Beach. What was the donation that you called it? It's either a Malahide coffee or a Ballymun coffee.
No, I said I'd appreciate the price of a cappuccino, and I said, and I'm talking about Malahide cappuccinos, not Ballymun cappuccinos. Because you go down to Malahide, and I remember I won't even say the place, but it was $5.25 for a cappuccino, and I was like, what is after happening here? But I'll take that. I'm down it.
What sort of milk were you getting in that cappuccino?
Must have been the golden goat's milk or something, I don't know.
Oh, that's something else. Well, yeah, listen, and the fair play, man. I'm so taken back by the commitment to it, and I think you've earned the right to ask for donations at this stage. So is it still happening on a weekly basis, or sorry, how is it working?
Still happening on a weekly basis with the Sundays. I've taken the Wednesdays away. The Wednesdays were the ones. It's actually funny because the first time I actually put a yoga session on by myself was actually a Sunday, and there was about 5 people showed up, and I was like, right, the Sundays probably won't work. People are probably partying a bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I'll do the Wednesdays. And then after the Wednesdays took off, then the Sundays ended up becoming the main kind of buzz. Yeah, everybody loves the Sundays now.
Isn't it incredible?
Because the Wednesdays were something to do midweek for people during the lockdown. People had no problem coming out all year round because there were serious numbers all winter, even through the lockdown, because there was nothing else on. Whereas this year it was coming into the winter, and I was there for a good few weeks, and there was still like 10, 15, 20 people showing up. Then it started dwindling out a bit, so I was like, you know what, people aren't in the humour to be rushing out here to sit in the shelters for a half an hour in the pissing rain, in the freezing cold. People have work now. It's a different kind of time we're living in. So I just parked the Wednesdays, and I'm after bringing it online as of last night. I done an online meditation last night.
It's the first one?
Well, I had done them during the lockdown.
Yeah.
And obviously the world started opening back up and people started getting too busy.
Yeah.
So I just said I'd dive back into it because I'm planning on kind of been working on the laptop a lot more.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to be or what my life is going to be doing now over the next few months, but feel like starting to build that up again. So I had a good turnout last night. I was really happy with the turnout for the online.
How did it go? How many people did you have?
I think there was 33 people.
Yeah.
So
it's so easy, I suppose, with the internet. Everything's so easily accessible. You don't have to go to a certain location. Just do it from the comfort of your own home.
That's it. You can set yourself up a nice space.
Same benefits as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me, Seanie, how did you get into this path or on this journey of finding yourself in yoga or doing yoga? How did it come about?
I've touched on this loads of times.
Yeah.
But I haven't really got deep into it. I was working in a gym in Longford, and I was horsing weights out of it. Me and a mate of mine were doing strongman competitions. Yeah. And we were just like, not healthy. We were like strong, but Jesus Christ, we were like doing serious damage to ourselves with the amount of calories and everything that we were eating. And
because at one stage you're up to about 90 plus
97 kilos, yeah, one stage,
Jesus.
And I was always...
And what are you sitting at now?
I'm like 73 or 75, depending on what kind of day of the week it is, you know. But that's over like 4 or 5 years. Now, I've been kind of floating around this way the last couple of years. It didn't take that long to lose it, but Yeah, I remember just getting sick of the strongman, sick of eating, and I was like, you know what? This is killing my body. Like, my hips are sore, my back is sore, and I was like, right, I'm going to start trying to look after myself a bit better. And then just by chance, a lady was coming into the gym in Longford to teach yoga in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was reluctant. The girls were winding me up because I used to put them through their paces in the 10 o'clock class.
Yeah.
So when they heard there was a yoga instructor coming in, and I had to be there to let her in and lock up and do a bit of cleaning or whatever, they were like, come on, put your money where your mouth is. So I went in, and she put me through my paces, and I knew how much of a challenge it was. And I find that now with even a few years ago, even in my mid-20s, if I'm not good at something, I feel like that's it, I'm in now for a while until I get good at it. And I might end up becoming the best at something.
That's a great mindset to have.
It's like, you know what, that's after defeating me today now, and I'm going to come back here next week and I'm going to get better. And now I'm 4 years on, and maybe to fold myself in half and do mad sort of positions. I couldn't even touch my toes when I went in, and crazy, like, you know.
And you obviously 73 kilos right now compared to that when you're back doing the strongman 90 plus. Do you feel lighter in yourself? What's your energy like now compared to that?
I feel like the only way I can put it into perspective is that I feel far more powerful in this frame.
Wow.
Because of me weights.
Because you can move.
I'm still moving a good bit thin for someone who's only 73 kilo.
Yeah.
And I've been in the gym a good few times recently, and it's not blowing me on trumpet, but a few lads have asked me, they're like, what weight are you, man? And I'm like, whatever, I'm 73 kilo. But I feel like a lot of that strength from strongman has carried down with me, because I've always still lifted weights, and a lot of the times when I'm in the gym, I don't be doing bodybuilding shit. I'm in doing 5x5 on deadlifts, 5x5 on chin-ups, and doing heavy stuff, like, strong, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I think the strength is the most important part, and finding the balance with the yoga is what's kind of actually, the weights will help me build muscle, but I've realised me with the yoga now, the yoga's after carving a shape out of my body that I didn't even fathom back in the day. I used to think,
in terms of just pure flexibility, or
just even the way my physique has gone, my waist, I used to be like a 38-inch waist at one stage, 38-inch waist, really broad across the chest, like a barrel from here to there, and now everything is just after slimlining. Waist has gone narrow, arse has got thicker, you know what I mean? It's just a weird, it's like the yoga has literally just carved out.
And how do the joints in your body feel? Are they very kind of relaxed and loose? And
I do feel very fluid, because when I was in that kind of heavier weight, I was doing a good bit of boxing as well. Yeah. And I had a lot of power, obviously, because I was big, like, and whatever, but I feel like I was very stiff compared to now. Now I'm very light. If I had known fighting at 85 kilo, that one day I'd actually be just walking around at 73 kilo without having to diet and without having to cut weight, I would have just been like, right, I'm going to hold off for a while, another year, until I get down to this weight to have a fight.
It's almost like two different worlds, isn't it?
It is, because I was always like in the mindset of, I'm always going to be chunky, because I had been fat and obese as a teen and as an adult. So I was just like, even when I started to get a bit of shape, I was like, I think I'm always going to be chunky. But I just got sick of the sessioning and sick of eating crap, and just started putting it all away, and then just started making healthier choices and started really enjoying me training. And then over time, just this different physique started coming out, and I was like, right, how far can I go here? How low can I get in this, and how much can I change my shape? And I found a photo from January 21 popped up on a memory yesterday, and I was only getting really deep into the yoga, because I was about to start doing the yoga teacher training, and just seeing it yesterday, and I was like, that is just a completely different man. And
even a year ago? It
was January 21, so it'd be 2 years ago, would it? Yeah. Just over 2 years ago. Wow. And I was just like, I might even put it up later on. I was like, that is a completely...
It just goes to show how, like, in a period of time, like 2 years isn't really a long period of time, but your body can change enormously, you know what I mean? Massive, drastic changes. And especially, I think what I realised, even guys that I train that come in with a bit of weight on them, one thing I always notice, Seanie, the biggest difference is their energy. Is when they feel lighter in themselves, they got more energy. They can do more in life, you know what I mean? Because they're not carrying this heavy, bulky load around with them, you know what I mean? And it's about finding that fine balance. Like, I think flexibility is a form of strength as well, you know what I mean? And that's what you get with the yoga. But I think you can go almost too far sometimes, where it's just all yoga, and then you lose integrity of the tendons, of the muscle, of the joint. But I love your combination where you're applying what you used to do in the past with the strength training to what you do now, and it's a lovely combination because it's strong and flexible at the same time, and it's like they match very well together.
For me, it's the perfect balance for me, because I feel now at 34, I feel like better than I did when I was 24.
And 34 is a young man.
And at 24, I was probably like playing, like I was at my fittest. at around 24. I had an ACL surgery halfway through a rugby season at 24. 23, 24 was it? And I remember I was starting to play some good, decent enough rugby, and I was starting to get a few starts with the senior team. And I remember the night before a big game against Monkstown. It was a big game for us. The coach came up and said to me, he goes, look, you're going to be starting tomorrow. And I was like, lovely. Well, I'm running out onto the pitch anyway, and 5 minutes into the warm-up, stepped by one of the lads and busted my whole ACL out of training. And a lot of that would have been, even that injury, I remember it was from a lot of just lifting weights and literally walked 5 minutes out onto the pitch in the middle of winter, and it was freezing. Stepped off the left foot and just this big crack on my knee. And like when I look back at it, even how much I'm after recovering from this knee surgery that I had this year, the yoga has played such an important part in strengthening my joints, ligaments, and helped me recovery, you know. And if I had found that balance back in the day, I think even a lot of the lads that I was training with, we would have been far better athletes and far better human beings, yeah.
I always say it's crazy that, because I played Gaelic football for many years, but there was never any movement practice that we done. And I think a massive thing nowadays for Gaelic footballers and for even soccer players or any player, man, is mobility, is having having joints that move freely and that move well. And yoga plays into that too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like with sports, like you see a lot of gym programs and it's very static and it's very, you know, safe, very one-dimensional, very safe, and that is important too to build for the compound lifts. But with yoga, even if people were getting into a bit of wrestling, like I remember Eddie O'Sullivan, the coach for Ireland, came down to Longford before. This was the year that I done my knee. I was watching the lads training on the sideline on crutches, and Eddie O'Sullivan was down teaching the lads judo and jiu-jitsu, like just showing them how to roll and throw. Like if you're getting into those kind of different movement exercises, whether it's yoga, jiu-jitsu kind of things, you're putting your body in an uncompromised position and it's able to adapt. And then when it does end up getting maybe a slip or something ends up happening, it's able to save itself because it has the strength. It's after getting sent.
It recognises the patterns that you're in, you know what I mean? Because I think we get too one-dimensional in the sense that we don't move in different planes of motion, you know what I mean? Like stepping to the side, that time that happened for your knee, it just went because it wasn't used to that. That's all it is. But it's so important, and that's what I love about yoga and just movement in general, is that move in different ways. Don't just be so rigid and so stiff in moving in this one pattern, because I think, and I see it in life as well, Seanie, that people that don't move a lot, the rigidity in their body formulates in their mind as well, and they have such rigid ideas. And I think what I notice about people that are in yoga or in some sort of movement practice, they're much more freer. They're more out there. They even think better, and that's something I realised over the last while, just looking at the movement space in general.
Yeah, since I found yoga, like I'm not, like I used to react bad to certain things, like if someone done something wrong to me or something like that, I'd be very bitter, I'd be very snappy. Now I just, since I found the yoga over the last 3, definitely even before I started doing the teacher training, just even being able to put your mat down for a few minutes can take an awful lot of stress away from the body. Just drawing your focus in.
Said it, Seanie, you're relieving stress in your own body, and when that stress is relieving your body, it's not going up to the mind, because if it comes up to the mind, then you're going to be reactive because your mind is stressed, you know what I mean? And that's one thing I've realised with yoga, and I want to actually divert this conversation down the spiritual path now in a second, but it's almost like you're getting rid of all this kind of toxic energy that builds up. It's release, because it feels good when you're living in a body that just feels free, doesn't it? Because if you're stiff, like I said, stiff and rigidity, it's all this tension, and that tension goes up to the mind.
It's so free at the minute, like in my body, in my mind, in my whole life. Yoga has taken such a turn, and obviously the support from the beaches obviously led me in a different path than where I was going, instead of chasing a career that I had no interest in, you know. So yeah, I look, yoga has transformed my life to new heights, and I would suggest everybody get doing yoga. It mightn't transform your life to the heights of mine, to where you're able to go out and communicate with 300 to 500 people on a beach, but even the couple of weeks into the yoga teacher training, the benefits that I had learned from myself.
For the individual, for the individual themselves.
Just because I always felt like, you know, the way you'd be connected to something or whatever. But when I got in with the yoga, I was really tapping into my spirituality and understanding little flashes that you'd be getting, and tapping into your own intuition and listening to your gut. Now I should listen to it a bit more, but like your gut your third eye, your visions, your dreams, things that come to you. That is your spirit talking to you, and people just ignore it. They just brush it off as if it's just a confabulation of their mind. You know.
I think one thing with yoga and any movement practice is that you build up this awareness. You actually realize, okay, I'm actually in this body, and this body is the greatest creation that's ever existed. You know what I mean? Because it is. It's this vehicle that we all drive around in. But you have to have, and that's what yoga has done for you, and movement's done for me, is that it made me realize that, okay, I'm actually living in this. You know what I mean? I never actually ever gave it a thought or recognized, because you're living off the fairies most of the time, you know what I mean? And then you actually start doing movement practice, you build up this intimacy with yourself. That's what I believe
That's
it is.
it.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this, you know what I mean? And then you become more aware of everything else going around on in life. You mentioned there spirituality, which is quite interesting. Is yoga a practice that has made you become more spiritual?
Definitely has made me become more spiritual, because like, I think a lot of people think when you become a yoga instructor that you just learn the patterns and the sequences and you learn a few keywords. But like the course I done, you tap so much into the philosophy. We had a Buddhist monk in teaching us the story of the Buddha and how to meditate and stuff like that. So
where was this? In Ireland?
It was in Ireland. Hot yoga done drum. Now, it was obviously, most of it was done online because we were during the lockdown or whatever. But
what was that like? Meeting a Buddhist monk?
Well, that was done online.
Oh, sorry, that was
done. It was amazing. We done 3 sessions with him, and through the laptop. It was just he put, like, as I set up a space for myself in my room, and by the time he was finished doing the meditation, like, I've learned so much from those sessions with him. That's how people always say to me, no, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, people always say I love that meditation, because I kind of took notions from him. You go to some meditations, people don't shut the fuck up throughout the meditation. You kind of guide the meditation, but you have to let people drift off. Exactly. When this guy was doing the meditation with us, like, I think 49 minutes had gone by, and I felt like I was only out for like 5 minutes, and my whole body was shaking when I came over. It was the maddest experience ever. Like,
and what did he do that was so different to any other sort of meditation you've done before?
I don't know what it was, because it was like you could feel his presence nearly through the laptop. But it was just some of the way he was able to talk, the way that he was able to kind of entice stuff out of your mind through key words he was dropping. And then he'd let you go off, and you wouldn't even know how long you were gone off for. And next minute he'd come back and say something. And it's just, I don't know, it was just amazing to...
And is this a normal reaction you normally have when you meditate? Is that your body would be reactive in that it'd be shaking? What do you mean by shaking?
Just, I felt like a lot of weight had been lifted through the meditation, you know what I mean?
And what was the meditation centered around? Was there... Do you want me to ask?
Oh Jesus, there was 3 meditations we done. We done 3 sessions with him. The first one was mainly around clearing your mind through different exercises and different visualization tools, but it was the second one with the breath work and the meditation. I remember that one. That was after rattling my nervous system. That was after
isn't that a key component of yoga, is that you have the breath work side of things? Breath work's very key, isn't it? It's all about centering around the breath.
There's so much to yoga, like, it's the breath work and the movement and all that it all falls under the one bracket. People kind of get confused. They just kind of mill out the flows and I'm doing yoga, but the breath is the most important part of the yoga. Like, and when you drift off and you feel like you're not hitting the floor properly, if you just tune back in, take your breath, you know what I mean? And there's different purification exercises that can help, you know, with your mental health. And
you're really selling to me, Sean.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you should honestly, really, because if you were in the space already of movement, like, I'm shooting myself in the foot here, probably encouraging loads of people to go on to be yoga instructors. But I feel the more competition, the better. It'll all make us elevate. And I think for what you're doing as well with the personal training, it would just accompany it so well, you know, because I learned over years from training teams, working in a gym, dealing with different people. We were just killing those people. You know what I mean? It was gym, weights, conditioning, bang, bit of stretching every now and again. I used to incorporate a lot of stretching. I feel like once I got into the yoga a bit, working in the gym, I started bringing it in, and people started enjoying that a bit more. But it's important to bring that balance with the yoga. So you, like, imagine you being able to offer that to your clients now. Say, right, lads, we're taking a bit of a chill night tonight. We need a down night. You're after milling it. You're after hitting a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10 on the last 2 sessions.
Only happened the other night. I had a client in here, a good friend of mine, had him on the bike at the beginning, done 12 minutes, and we were going to do just a session based around just doing pull-ups and press-ups and everything else, just body weight stuff. And he just didn't feel up to it. And I go, let's just take a step back.
That's it.
Because it's all active recovery. At the end of the day, if you're just moving your body, at least you're doing something. Because movement's key, and I think it's a practice that just has to be done on a daily basis as well.
That's it. I have a morning routine, and it took me so long to really get the concept of getting out of bed in time and taking that 5 minutes to myself or 10 minutes. And now it's just second nature. I just roll off the bed and it's nothing strenuous. I literally just stretch the body and just, because when you wake up, you're so stiff. You're either lying on your side, hunched up, on your back, diagonal, goalkeeper across the bed, whatever way, wrapped up beside someone, whatever way you're wrapped up.
Like a big star in the bed.
You're in the bed all night, and then you're going to get up with the alarm waking you up in a fright. You're going to bust your hole into the bathroom to go and brush your teeth, get into the shower, have a shit. Some people might have a shave, I'm not shaving. And then bust yourself to go into work, right? So there you are keeping all that cortisol and all that stiffness from the sleep in your body, and you're expected to go and flow through the day with all the stresses and all the other energies and all the potential. Like your life you could get hit by a bus. You know what I mean?
Well, I think you mentioned
you have to be so aware.
You do. You have
in the mornings.
Great, just having a routine in the morning. This is one thing I focus on even my own clients. But you mentioned something that's very key there. Just movement in the morning. Like I have 2 cats inside, 2 pussy cats, and every time I see them when they wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is they extend their spine, or they flex their spine all the way up. The dog does as well. Where did downward dog come from?
That's it.
The dog does it, you know what I mean?
And up dog.
Yeah, and upward dog as well. You just learn it. Animals are trying to show us, and we naturally once done it when we were swinging out the trees, but now obviously we live such different lives where things are a bit more, they're all simplified, but we need to almost take it back to, it's essential to move your body. There's no 2 ways about it. It just has to be done.
I was talking to my friend about this because he said it to me. Just taken back to our granny's times and when they were kind of looking after us. He said it to me and I said, "Jeez, my granny used to do that as well." And I've just started doing this every morning before I even start my movement.
Yeah.
Get up, blow your nose, blow everything out of your nose.
Yeah, that's really important.
Drink a pint of water before you do anything. Just sit, drink a pint of water. Don't gulp it. Just drink a pint of water. And that just feels to me like such a good way to start your day. You're clearing your naddies, you're clearing your breathing channels, you're lubricating the body, and you're getting the digestive system and the whole lot going. I do feel so fresh. Pint of water and then straight into the yoga.
You're on the money there, because that's the most too. Like what you've done during the night is you haven't obviously been drinking because you're asleep. So you're going to wake up somewhat dehydrated, and when you're asleep, you're not moving. So the first 2 things you can do are the opposite of what you've done, because in the morning you want to wake up. So movement, 5-minute movement practice, and like you said, getting the water into you. It's essential. Because if you went 8 hours during the day without drinking, you'd have a headache.
That's it. And
you wake up in the morning, you need to get hydrated. You need to get everything moving.
Like you lose fluid at night when you're sleeping as well, because your body is still burning calories during respiration. And when you're just lying there, you could, like during sleep, you can still burn 300 to 500 calories. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you still need...
Yeah, I love what you said there about blowing your nose. Actually, that's a really good point. Like a lot of people, and even for me, I wake up kind of stuffy sometimes.
Like blowing your nose, clearing your throat, it's not nice. You know what I mean? Yeah. You have to get this out of you, like, because... I am pretty good at breathing through my nose, because obviously your nose is your filter. Yeah. I personally loathe breathing through my mouth. It just...
You do wake up normally feeling refreshed in the morning?
I do. Well, look, that's if I end up breathing. Sometimes I can feel that I'm after breathing through my mouth for a couple of hours, your mouth feels scammy. I just feel clearing all that, clearing your breathing channels out, whether it's a... hitting a spit bucket, whatever it is, just get it out, you know?
Sean, you're dead right. No, one thing I've been doing religiously now for about 4 years is every night before I go to bed, put a bit of mouth tape on. So it just means that I'm breathing through my nose at night. Because
like Hannibal Lecter lying in
exactly. I had to do it though, because I was suffering from gum disease for too long and I didn't know what was going on. And because I was breathing through my mouth at night, because obviously just catching flies and whatever else.
Yeah, bringing in bacteria.
Exactly. It was drying out all the saliva in my mouth. And then saliva is obviously just, it hydrates your teeth, it hydrates your gums. It's a bit like a protective layer. When that protective layer is gone, all the bacteria just sapping it straight in between my teeth, in between my gums. Inflammation was happening.
I didn't know that.
My gums are bleeding. I was like, gee, what the fuck's going on? So got an electric toothbrush, went to the dentist, and then just doing my own bit of research, I was like, I'm breathing through my fucking mouth here. You know what I mean? And it's killing me. Like I was waking up brain fog, lethargic. You know what I mean? I was just moody for the day.
Gasping.
Yeah. And then I start just becoming more aware once again. Like I just became more aware of the situation that was going on. Put the mouth tape on, done it religiously. Massive difference. Wake up in the morning most days with a lot of energy, feeling better, a lot more motivated.
Yeah.
If you're losing, like I'm not taking in adequate oxygen at night, and like if that's 8 hours of my entire day, it's going to affect the rest of 16 hours. So I think it's essential. Going back to the spiritual side of things, I want to touch on, Shani. Would you be any way religious?
I used to be fairly religious. Yeah. Believe it or not, I was an altar boy at one stage for a couple of weeks until I got thrown out. But I didn't really get thrown out. It was just I just didn't really want to become
You got caught supping on the wine, was it, in the back?
Oh, it could have been worse. Could have been caught sucking on something else where the Catholic Church goes around there.
We'll say nothing about that.
No,
Anyway.
but yeah, no, I was when I was younger. My family would have been very religious, my grandparents and that.
Yeah.
And I always would have, like, I was christened a Catholic. Obviously, that was against my own will or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've just learned so much over the years about Catholicism and how religion, not even just the Catholic Church, just different religions, how the stories can get misconstrued to influence people in a negative way. You know what I mean?
Definitely, yeah.
Like the church is, I don't want to be like, there's family members and everything that are still involved in the Catholic Church, but it's nearly like a fear basis. It's like you have to go to mass, or you know what I mean?
Or you're going to hell.
Or you're going to hell, or like, I can't even remember, someone was talking about like kids that unfortunately died before baptism.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be like lost in the netherworlds, or they weren't getting into heaven.
Yeah.
And that's why the Catholic Church push people to get the children christened so early. You know what I mean?
Oh,
A month
really?
or two in, because kids could die of cot death back in the day. And it was nearly a fair basis to get people to become part of the Catholic Church. You know what I mean? Like, should God not really love us as we are, as we're born? You know what I mean?
Definitely so.
That's not the way the original Bible or the way Jesus would have wanted it to be. You know what I mean?
But it's got so twisted, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think what I'd try to do now is just avoid all the politics and all the, I don't know, pretty much all the politics around religion, and I just kind of take what I want out of each, like the story, the Buddhist story, Jesus, like mythology. I kind of take the good out of everything and kind of try to imply that into my life, so then I'm leading a better life. Like the Bible, well, say whatever you want about the Bible or Catholic Church or whatever, but the Bible is a simple guide to how to live a good life.
Oh, I was just going to say,
you know what I mean?
We've no rule book.
So there's where I'm going to show you the connection that I found between religion and yoga. So we have the 10 Commandments, and then we have the yamas of yoga. The 10 Commandments are 10 rules pretty much to live by, and whereas the yamas of yoga are 5 rules to live by, and it's just broken down. It's the 10 Commandments broken down into a smaller form.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So that's where I'm kind of amalgamating everything that I've learned or heard, and just taking the positive out of it and trying to just implement it. Like, because at the end,
you would be more, instead of on the religious side almost, you're more on the spiritual side.
to the spiritual side now as well, because I feel like I've been more connected.
And I think that happens when you breathe, isn't it? When you're intentionally breathing.
Breathwork, psychedelics, and sitting by yourself can help you tap into your spirit. And this is what I feel. People might think I'm kooky or whatever, but like, I've seen some stuff through psychedelics that have ended up coming true, and I've talked to beings that other people have seen. You can even research this online. Other people have seen similar things, and I feel like there's so much more that we can't see in this realm. You know what I mean? And through yoga, breathwork, Wim Hof, these kind of things, you can really
start tapping into.
You can I don't know what you tap into or where you go,
it's like
or
another form of consciousness almost, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
That's one thing of,
from my own personal experience through meditation, I start to realize that it's almost more than just ourselves. But you get to realize as well as that, like, there's something else here, and we're all interconnected without us really knowing about it. You know what I mean?
There is definitely, like, and it's hard to even really think how connected we should be, because everybody's so disconnected. Everybody is so busy. There's a lot of hatred going on in the world, and I feel like, wouldn't you love that if everybody could just have a bit more compassion and empathy for each other?
I think it's when you get to that state of peace as well. You know, when you're doing these practices that bring you a lot of peace, as in terms of yoga, meditation, and on Wim Hof, you start to realize that you're tapping into almost like a higher state of consciousness. That's what it is. That's why I feel it is. Like, peace is, I think, just below enlightenment. So you're very close to nearly figuring out almost everything. But I definitely think it has such a place for it, and I think it should be promoted. And that's why I love the work that you do, is that you're really promoting this.
Yeah.
And it's bringing such great health benefits to people's lives as well.
Just, I'm pushing it so much because I know how much it's changed my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So from going from a mess to being able to clean my life up and being able to provide a space for people, like even if you became a yoga instructor and you went in and were teaching your man that a bit, like, wouldn't that be great? Like, you know what I mean? So I think everybody
trying to create or help people become better than themselves. That's all it is, which is beautiful. Listen, you touched on plant medicines there and psychedelics. Yeah, I recently heard in a podcast that you done an ayahuasca was a retreat.
How did that go?
I feel like I'm always talking about psychedelics. I feel like I'm trying to be like Joe Rogan or something, but I've delved deep into a lot of them. And the ayahuasca, DMT, like they're all similar and they all show you like the glimpses of what you can be. And it's every time I've had them, I just see a potential self. And it's a mad feeling because
is it like this future self?
It's a future self that exists, and like I'm already after surpassing the fella a few times that I've seen through different psychedelics. And off this ayahuasca retreat, I'm after seeing a different version
of what's coming.
And that's it can come.
Yeah.
If I stay on the path.
Do you just see this one person? Like, is it just this one vision, or is it
like it's kind of like it's always kind of like a 3 to 4 year block kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like.
So do you go for the ayahuasca ceremony and then wait another 3 or 4 years?
No. I've just kind of been dabbling in and out of things over the last 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? So
and there's a bit of a process to it, isn't there? Because you're fasting for quite a period of time before leading up to it. Is that right?
Yeah, like you just have to give the body the chance to use the medicine. Like no food in there. All I had was water, just because it gives the body the chance to just process that, let that go through your body, do its work, and it's not getting confused with anything else that it has to do. You literally just have to lie there, breathe, get yourself through it, and that's it.
There's a lot of breath work in them ceremonies.
For the parts that you're conscious, it is.
Yeah.
In my last one, it was the most spiritual awakening I had, because I have, since 2018, I've had a couple of health problems, couple of injuries.
Yeah.
Couple of stuff that has made me feel kind of, even stuff going on in my personal life, a lot of stuff has made me feel very weak in myself, feel like the injuries, not being at my full capabilities, giving me energy to places that I shouldn't have, and people I shouldn't have, and I feel like it kind of left me in a weak kind of mindset. And especially the injury kept reoccurring with this knee, kept getting banjaxed, hamstring kept getting pulled, knee wasn't feeling great, and I was flying it then, and I got another injury, got this mad infection on my elbow called bursitis. Not rare infection, but it just happens very randomly. Like, blew up. Then it pulled me hamstring. That was all in the same month in October. So I was like, right, I need to take some time here. So I went down.
Did you feel like you were overstressed? Was it just life stress? Was
just everything piled in, but just there was a load of stuff that piled in. But it's done and dusted now. But I went down to the ayahuasca retreat, and I just felt like this primal strength started running through me, and I was in my own space on the floor, and everybody was in their own space doing whatever they wanted. But I remember just sitting up and having my eyes closed, and I remember he was playing music. I remember just beating my chest. Didn't care about people around me. Beating my chest. I was just up dancing, doing bits of yoga, just stretching my body out, and all this mad burping started happening because I drank the medicine, and it felt like a load of pain, and everything was releasing out of my body, and I was just making way for new energy, and I came out of there, man, and feeling like an absolute barbarian after it. I've just been on it since I've left. Even when I've had a few bad weeks when stuff is getting in the way, I'm like, no, the training still has to happen. You seen this morning, I had to go and get some training in because my morning was all messed up, so that's just what has to happen now. Like,
so this like other state of consciousness, can you remember when you're in actually the moment of after you've taken the ayahuasca? Like, how long does the effect go on for?
It's a gradual build up.
And can you feel it building up inside you? Yeah,
it's a gradual build up. You have an option then to take a second cup after a couple of hours, like, and that's where the real magic lies, and that's where the real work is. I took 2 cups on the 2 nights. Well, look, you're there, like, you know what I mean. You're either going in. It's no point putting one foot in, as our old rugby coach used to say. You can't be half pregnant. You're either in or you're out. So, it's just a gradual build up with the ayahuasca. I felt, because you're sitting up, drink it, you're kind of meditating, kind of chilling. You can kind of feel your stomach rumbling. You can kind of feel different.
And you're lying down, or you're allowed to move around this area. Yeah,
do whatever you want, pretty much, as long as you're not disturbing anybody else and kind of not acting the maggot and climbing up the walls or anything. But everybody. Like, that doesn't happen now. Everybody was cool, like, they were in their own spots, and the facilitators were unbelievable. So I don't know, I just felt like you could get up and do your own bits, but it was a weird gradual build up, and then my trip was a lot different than, I think it was as unpleasant as it was, and I seen some harsh things.
Really?
It was a lot more pleasant. Definitely. I seen a lot. There was a lot of stuff.
This time is more pleasant.
It was more pleasant compared to other people's ones.
Okay.
But I did have an emotional one. Like, there was hours of tears there and just going through stuff and trying to release some stuff.
Is this from the past? Is this like things from the past?
Yeah, be releasing stuff from the past and even stuff that you want to forgive within yourself. You know what I mean? Mistakes that you made, because I feel like when you make mistakes, you can carry that burden with you through life for quite a while and can get the better of you, you know. And that's what I was saying to you. I felt like I was weak there over the last 4 years, and I feel like anyone that I was mixing with didn't really even get to know me properly, because I was holding on to a lot of insecurities and was just mad to train and just wasn't it. And the lockdown and working in the whole way through the pandemic, and do you know what I mean, working on the front line, and my kind of mindset wasn't the most pleasant of experiences. So
you never had any time to really process.
I didn't really have any time to myself, and then this whole yoga thing kicked off, and I, honest to God, but look, I always knew I was going to get some sort of, or have some sort of impact or notoriety through fitness. But I thought that was going to be further down the line when I kind of had set up a cool facility and opened up a spot. I didn't expect anything like this to happen. So then that ended up happening. On top of it, there was like this community of people, a couple of hundred people coming to the beach every Wednesday, which was more pressure. I was only learning yoga. I was trying to get into shape, standing in front of 300 or 400 people. It was tough. So yeah,
well, look at you now.
I know, I've gone through it. I'm after becoming a man the last year. I grew up a bit. I stopped being Peter Pan.
Leaps and strides, man. It's just amazing. And would you say then the psychedelics or the ayahuasca or DMT or whatever it is has almost helped you get there and has accelerated you getting to where?
Definitely got me there faster, because I think when you see,
does it kind of cut away what you don't need to do, or like maybe does it show you a path that
shows two paths? It can show a couple of different paths. Like, I've seen a couple of different versions of myself, and some of them aren't pleasant. And when you get a taste, because for me, when I'm in those psychedelic realms, when I see that person or that version of myself, I can feel how good he feels, and I can feel how strong he is, you know what I mean? And it's like, why don't you want to chase that? Why don't you want to become him or better than him?
Because there's a lot of work it takes.
That's true. You're going to do the work. You are hopefully going to arrive somewhere 3 or 4 years down the line. Why not get there and be the best, strongest?
Now.
Get there and be that person.
Does doing psychedelics add a bit of urgency to your life?
Well, it does for me, because I've seen that glimpse, and I'm like, right, well, I want to be like that. I want to be that strong. I want to be that fit. I want to be that healthy. I want to look that happy. That's the most important thing that I feel off that version of myself every time I see it. He's happier. He's stronger. He's fitter. And from the first time, before I'd done the psychedelics, I was making really good health choices. I'd stopped partying, and then that showed me a glimpse, and I was like, right, that's getting accelerated, and it just took off over. As you can see, 2 years.
So it's almost like these psychedelics have heightened your awareness.
Yes,
because
definitely.
they give this internal insight that you never had before.
It's just more connected to myself.
Okay.
Is the way that.
How else would that be, man? Because it sounds like such an intense, experience where it's just like
supposed to be intense. You're doing work. People like. You're doing work. You're doing whatever way they want to call it. Work is work.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to do the work, then don't go and do psychedelics, or don't be asking about psychedelics. It's a tough place to go. It's a deep realm that you're diving into, and I don't know. It takes a brave person to go and do some of the stuff that me and my mates have done. Yeah, I think, but everybody should do it. Don't be afraid of it, because what you see is what you need to see, and what you get from it is what you'll take from it. So that's the only way to look at it.
Wow. And how many years have you been doing them?
3, 4 years. Yeah.
And how did it
not now doing them. People might think I'm strung out in this stuff. There's like huge gaps between all this, so I probably won't do any psychedelics now for a while. Probably won't do psychedelics for probably 9 months, a year, maybe. If I get the call, I'll probably go back to it. But I've a lot. What I've seen in the last few psychedelic experiences is all coming to fruition now, and all the hard work that was done before is only going to be minuscule compared to the work that's going to go in now over the next 10 years. So
I'm interested to see.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see.
You talked about almost your future self. How would you identify, Seanie, with the higher self that exists within you? I'm sure you've pretty seen it through these DMT experiences, ayahuasca experiences. How would you identify with that higher self that's Seanie?
The higher self, I have a weird concept with this, because I've seen it and I've tapped into it a few times through meditation. I've seen it in a psychedelic experience, and then I've seen it, I kind of tap into it the whole time. Whenever I've been living a good life or a bad life, or when I've been kind of like neglecting my health, and it's called the higher self balcony.
Okay. So
this balcony is kind of like way up in the stars or wherever it is, but on that balcony is a load of versions. This is a weird concept, but it works for me. there's a load of versions of me looking down at me.
Who you could become.
These are all the versions that I could become.
Yeah.
But they're all looking down at me. And depending on how I've been living, the version of me will be standing at the forefront of the balcony cheering me on, right? But there's the big, fat, obese, hideous version of himself that didn't cop himself on and start training and looking after himself. There is the addict version who kept taking coke, kept on the buzz, just looks a mess. Then there's the glorious version of me, the version that I'm chasing.
The version that you're living in today.
Yeah. And then there's a version of me not being that nice of a fella. You know, there's all these different versions up there.
Yeah.
And if I'm not been on my diet too much, the ugly one is going to be standing there who's not, like, I'm not just saying obese. I mean, this is like the most hideous looking creature you could see. Then I have the one I'm chasing. If I'm on me stuff, training, eating well, he's kind of at the front.
Which you're living in now.
Well, I feel like I am living. I've been tapping into that higher self a lot. I've been sitting with myself. I've been doing a lot of meditating. But it's just a weird concept that works for me. The higher self balcony, and
I like it.
There's a couple of different.
There's these many versions that you could become, but you're choosing the one that you want to be.
That's it.
Yeah.
Trying to
become. I love it, man. I love it, and you know, it always comes down to every micro decision that you make, every habit that you build. You know what I mean? They all add up, and it's beautiful to see when they all come together, because you've got a great key practices in place. You're building a community. You're passionate about yoga. You do breath work as well. The ayahuasca to get a deeper insight. You're and exercise and strength training as well. You're using all these practices to keep on building yourself up. Tell me, I want to touch on just kind of generalizing, I suppose, like in Irish society, we're big drinkers. We're a culture of big drinking and everything else that comes with it, and a lot of drugs involved nowadays, especially. You know, it's very out there that if you're drinking, obviously there's so much coke and everything around it. Have you cut that out of your life in regards to just the drinking? Let's talk about for a sec. Have you cut that out completely in your life, or?
I've cut all the party drugs out.
Yeah.
I've done enough of them. I've burnt myself out. I've partied a lot, and drinking, if something is on and I have to go to it, if it's a family thing, I'll go to it. I'll have a few drinks. I'll be home early.
Yeah.
If there's a lads' night on, it'll be the bane of my life having to go to it, but I'll go to it and I'll just be on the drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just have a few drinks. Try to not be belligerent walking home. You know what I mean? Exactly, I just want to be able to be sensible when I'm out. You know.
Fluid, though.
Especially talking about coke in general, it's so fluid now in Irish society. It's just crazy, isn't it? Because it just goes hand in hand with drink, and it's just. It's absolutely everywhere as well, and I don't think anyone really speaks about it, because I think there's a lot of people out there, because it's on the social scene so much now. I can only imagine that there's a lot of people that are unaware, that are part of a group and they're all drinking and they're doing drugs and they're like, I actually don't want to be part of this, but I want to conform. I want to be part of what's going on.
That's what happened with me.
It was that exactly what happened.
Like I loved the buzz and I love going to festivals. Like I'll go to a festival and I'll go down and let my hair down and have the crack. No coke.
Yeah.
But I just felt after a while, I was like, I'm getting bored of this. I am broke up on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Man, how was your
it's killing me training. It's killing me mentality. It's killing me finances.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm done with this. And as I was getting older, I was kind of distancing myself from the drinking parties and the sniffing parties and the yoke parties. And then over time, I was just like, the less you done it, I was like, you know what, I'm getting more clarity here and I'm starting to feel better with myself. And I'm like, you know what, let this circle keep going around for another couple of years.
So you've seen the benefit in not drinking?
The drink. See, the drink, when you go for a few drinks, it's grand if you're meeting your mate for 2 or 3 pints and you're watching the football, you might have 2 pints each half. That's grand.
Yeah.
If you're going out and you're meeting your mates for 6, 7, 8 pints and you're out for the night, someone's going to have sniff.
Yeah.
Someone's going to want sniff. Yeah. And usually, because of my background, I was either the fella with it or else I was the plug to get it. So I was always kind of, even when I didn't want to do it, I'd have to go and get it for someone, and then I'd be like, fuck it. Exactly. You know what I mean? And you get roped into it that way. But
and would you say, obviously, that's so far from what the higher self is? You would classify, if you've got a higher self, if you're running around chasing after the bag or doing drink, it's almost you're associating with this person that
get the shivers.
It doesn't really take away from who you could become.
It does, because you're wasting so much time sniffing and
but alcohol is just, it's so toxic.
It
really is.
I like a few drinks.
No, don't get me wrong.
Now and again.
Have a bit of fun.
But getting extremely drunk and falling around the place and not remembering how you get home. And I just see some girls, and you'd be worried about girls going out, because it's like girls are brutal. Girls just hop into a taxi and they go off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Vulnerability of it.
So I think everybody should be a little bit more careful with the drinking. Make sure you get home all right. It's great being drunk and having a laugh and having the buzz, but when your safety gets taken away from you and you don't know where you are and you wake up in a ditch somewhere.
Exactly.
Different story altogether.
Tell me, Seanie, what's your vision now for the next? Well, I know obviously you've kind of briefly touched on it. What do you want to achieve now in the next, say, 3 to 4 years?
4 years.
Do you want to have anything set up, or what's the ambition?
I have the mad plans to set up a couple of gyms and so just a couple of facilities that have everything that can cater for everything. Sauna, ice baths, recovery in one room, then a yoga studio, then a strength and conditioning area, the kind of whole
package.
Yeah, in the whole package. But that's me business. What I want to do personally is just I want to go travelling now. I feel like I'm supposed to go travelling a few times over the years. Things ended up getting in the way. I ended up going back to college one time. That was a temporary sacrifice. Then the lockdown rolled around when I was supposed to head to Australia for that October. So now I feel like I'm after achieving a 10-year plan in 9 years. Even though I nearly died and I was in hospital a few times and a lot of things got in the way, I still feel like I pulled it through fairly well to get it done early. So I feel like for the rest of this year, I'm going to just float and see what happens and then come back and do whatever I need to do.
And go from there. Where is the ambition to travel to?
India, and then India is for me teacher training at the end, because I'm working with the schools now here at the minute with St. Paul's and Raheny. So when the school term is finished, I'm heading straight to India, and then I am. I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to say it.
No, you don't say it.
No, because I could be moving abroad.
Yeah.
I just have to go and investigate a few spots. Well, not could be, but I'm just investigating a few spots. So that's the plan. Yeah.
And India, have you been out to India before?
I was supposed to go last October, but thank God I didn't go because I wasn't even fit. Like I had loads of injuries, and I just kept pushing myself saying, "I'll get going for October, Now I feel fully fit. I feel strong, so I'm ready to go.
Lovely stuff. And
round this conversation up at the end of 2023. What's the Seanie then? What's he going to be like? Well, what's going to have happened? Any big goals or ambitions that you want?
No, I just want to be stronger, fitter, happier and healthier.
Lovely.
That's it. Simple as that. I'm just going to kind of take a loose year this year. I said recently in a podcast that about writing out a contract and getting your stuff done.
Yes,
that was last October, November, and it was explaining what I had done. Whereas this year, I actually haven't wrote myself out anything.
You can just let it happen.
Life can change in a minute, and I'm just like, do you know what? Whatever comes.
Do you think there is an importance? I think there is an importance, obviously, but do you think there is an importance to having goals in place? Or
yeah, I still have them.
I think you're a very ambitious man, so I think I think what's so important, I suppose, with the path that you're on, is just always taking the next step. It's not seeing this grandiose what it could be. It's just step by step by step, and just keep on building.
That's it. Just put one foot in front of the other, and just whatever you want to do, whatever you feel called to, just step into it, and don't be afraid of it. That's what I've done, and it's not led me wrong. I think people are apprehensive, like, oh, what will that person think of me if I do this, or what if I'm shy at that? You're going to be shy at everything you do first, unless you're just gifted.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep going. Keep tracking yourself at it. Just keep holding yourself accountable to make these better changes and start enjoying your life doing the things you want to do. And it's simple as that.
And being consistent as well.
Being consistent.
Seanie, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it, man. It was an absolute
Look, in fairness, you're doing great work. That's why I said it. Come on, I love what you do, and you're building a nice community.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you. Listen, absolute pleasure, Rob. Thank you.
All right.
All the best, everyone. Take it easy.
Lovely.